The landed property market is moving once again. Let's talk about this today. Many of you may have read these articles that says that Q2 landed home transactions volume up 55% as buyer and seller price expectation narrows. And many of you will be thinking like, oh no, I want to buy a landed property. I'm going to be priced off the market once again. And if you are a seller of a private property, oh, the price is moving once again because the volume is going up. If you are someone like that who is thinking of what you should be doing next, this video I'm going to share with you my point of view, because me myself as a landed property owner, I understand the mindset of landed owners and buyers very well. In fact, last week I just got one of my clients to secure a landed property under $4 million freehold, 2.5 story, already done up. I would think that it's really an undervalued buy. So looking at this market right now, is it a very confusing one? Is it the market is going up, going down, or is going to maintain? And you as a buyer, should you be entering now or should you be waiting? Or do you have the fears that you'll be further priced out of the landed market? And in today's video, because as you can hear, I'm having a very sore throat. In fact, I've been taking steroids so that I can film this video for the third day straight. Do me a favor, tap the like button because it's going to help me a great deal. So how this video is going to be done is, number one, I'm going to give you a TLDR version of this so that you don't have to read the article yourself. Next, I'll be sharing with you historically what does this mean for the landed property market and what's my point of view of this situation. Last but not least, I'm going to share with you what you should be doing if you're a buyer or a seller of a landed property. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about this article. It says that some $2.3 billion worth of Singapore landed homes changed hands in the quarter two, up 54.7% year-on-year, according to report by real estate agency Hutton. So all the rest of the information is just talking about like how many transactions, how many percent. All in all, this article, if you ask me, is just a lot of comparison between different segments. And one thing it says that the biggest increase in transacted volume was in the semi-detached home segment, with 136 of such homes sold in the quarter, making an 81% rise on a quarter-to-quarter basis. Transaction volume was up about 60%. More importantly here, if you run through all the information, I feel that the only thing that's more noteworthy, the pace of growth in landed home prices continue to decelerate in quarter two, said Hutton's. Prices of landed homes rose by 1.9% in the quarter, 0.7% lower than the previous quarter. So take note of this because I'm going to give you my opinion on this. Next, the Q2 average price for a 999-year leasehold freehold land was 4.2 million for a terrace property, 6.6 million for a semi-detached, and 12.5 million for a detached home. So these will be the talking points that I'll be using because I think this will tell us a story and give us a bit of direction of what we should be doing moving ahead. So all in all, this article only tells me that owners of the landed properties are a little bit more realistic in terms of pricing right now, willing to lower their asking price to meet the offer price of the buyers. And the buyers, as usual, because buying property is always time sensitive, buyers also tired of waiting anymore and are willing to up their price a bit in order to close up the gap. Next, we're going to talk about when this volume of transaction goes up, what usually happens next. But before I go on, right, the data shows me that only 22% of you are subscribed to this channel. There are 70% of you which are not. So if you could do me a favor, subscribe to this channel because it only encourages me to post more frequently. And with that, thank you so much. Now, looking at the past history, what can we tell over here? So I'm looking at the previous data of last 20 years of landed property transactions, and we track back to very notable occurrence whereby there is a huge jump in terms of the number of transactions in the landed property market. Namely, after the Lehman Brothers in the year 2009 quarter 2, you saw the number of transactions from Q1 to Q2 from 297 transactions in Q1, it jumped all the way to 900 over transactions in Q2. And of course, you can see along the way, right, during this period of time, with renewed interest ever since quantitative easing in 2008 and 2009, you see the prices of landed property actually shoot up all the way until the year 2012, when the government actually came in with the cooling measure, the TDSR, and you start to see that the prices start to maintain. And why is that so? Actually, this period of time was a very interesting period of time whereby back then there wasn't TDSR, there wasn't ABSD. We know a lot of landed property owners actually like to buy multiple landed properties because they will not be subject to ABSDs. Every year when they get their bonus or their director fees, they'll go and search for the properties in the landed market and they'll buy. And these people are what I call land bankers. That means every 1-2 years they save up enough, they'll buy a landed and keep, and they usually keep it as a form of legacy. Therefore, the occurrences before TDSR and ABSD was being introduced, right, to me is in an era of irrelevance if you follow my channel for long enough, because I would think that the buyers back then versus today and the purpose will be very different. Affordability is also very different due to the TDSR as well. So having said that, the more relevant era would definitely be after the year 2013, whereby from 2014 onwards, it actually normalized to the current market standard, whereby one person will usually only buy one landed property. And within one household, there's not so many people. I mean, there are always a lot of rich people out there, but not so many people out there that can own one landed property in under each name. Most of the time, it's one family home. Maybe the spouse will own a condo elsewhere and whatnot. I'm not saying I'm right. Hashtag just saying. Now, looking at this from 2014 onwards, if you look back at, let's say, the quarter 2 2016, there was a big jump in terms of number of transactions. From 200 transactions, it jumped to 325 units transacted quarter on quarter. But look at the pricing. The price line didn't really go up. Next, we look at other transactions. In quarter 1 2017 to quarter 2 2017, there was a big jump in number of transactions as well. From 288, it jumped to total of 500 over transaction, almost double the transaction volume. Did the price go up? You see a slight uptick and then the price start to maintain again. Next, it will be actually in 2019, 243 units transacted in quarter 1 2019. And the next quarter, the number of transactions went up to 329. So it's about another 30 to 40% increase. But look at the price. Actually, the price never really trend up that much all the way until COVID. Now we are done looking at the number of quarters, and obviously, and it doesn't show much signs of price actually going up by a lot. Now let's take a look at the last 5 years, the number of transactions, and find the average of every quarter to see that whether this time round is it really a big jump in the number of transactions. So we saw for 2019 the total number of transactions in the landed property market was 1,310. 2020 there were 1,809. 2021 there was 3,882. 2022 1,681, and 2023 1,279. And we actually did an average of the 5 years and divide by 4 quarters, right? It actually landed us at total number of 400 over transactions per quarter. So if you look back at this article, it said how many transactions were recorded in this quarter alone. Looking at this year, total number of 430 transactions in Q2, is it a lot? Actually, it's not a lot, it's just normal. Is there a panic to rush in to buy? No. But of course, if you're a seller, should you be rushing to sell off your property at this point in time? I don't think you should also, but I think this will just signal a very safe and stable market in the landed transaction right now. Now, coming to why the number of transactions actually increased a lot was because in the last couple of quarters, the number of transactions in the landed market actually fell. Earlier on, we were looking at based on the number of years, right? In 2021, you saw 3,000 over transactions in the landed property market, and you saw the price start to go up in 2022 and eventually hitting the peak in year 2023. So because if you look at the year 2023, ever since Q1 for the landed segment actually hit its peak at $1,877 per square foot. The next preceding quarter actually saw the average PSF go down to $1,806 per square foot. And subsequently, right, you can see that the price start to hover around this area all the way until Q2, where the sellers are also tired already, buyers also tired, and they say, okay, let's meet in between, and things started to move over here. And what do we learn from here? For a very simple reason, when the price actually hit the Q1 2023, when it hit its peak that time, it's normal for the seller to think that, hey, maybe we should ask for more. Most of the sellers of the landed property, when I meet them, right, they'll tell me that, okay, this neighbor transacted at 3 million, but somehow my unit is better than theirs. Even that unit is more renovated than mine, I think my unit is in a better facing, better unit number, better feng shui or whatnot, and they will ask for a 5% to 10% premium, which the buyer may not see eye to eye with. And that's the reason why during that point in time, the landed property market actually slowed down quite a bit. And you cannot blame the sellers. Why? Because their replacement cost for the next house is also higher as well, because every landed seller out there is asking for 5 to 10% above market value. And when I say market value, I'm talking about the last transacted property prices. And recently I went to go and see the landed transactions around my home as well. I realized that many of the transactions were done at the last transacted price. Example, one of my neighbors' house was asking for $10 million, and when I saw that being listed in the market, it was listed by one of my agents, right, I was so excited. Why? Because I was hoping that please buy, please sell at $10 million. Why? Means to say that my $8 over million property, straight up my valuation go up to 10 mil. But eventually, guess how much it was being transacted? I did a rough math using the same PSF that I purchased my property at, which is about $2,500 per square foot. I multiplied by their land size and I got 9.2 million. And I told my friend that most likely you will sell at 9.2, and lo and behold, it was sold at $9.2 million. But But if you ask me, in the earlier part of 2024, would the sellers be so willing to reduce their asking price? Absolutely not. Because in the current market, I think a lot of the sellers are also a bit tired because the buyers are not biting, are not willing to pay record prices anymore, and therefore the sellers today are willing to lower their expectation, be a bit more realistic, and move forward. All in all, that's what history has told us. I actually have this list of landed properties that we actually help my clients to source for, because recently I'm sourcing landed properties for quite a number of clients. So if you're someone that's thinking of buying a landed property or upgrading from a current asset, or to just buy another landed property, do give me a call. At this number, happy to share with you the list and to get to understand a bit more about your needs. Last but not least, my recommendation for buyers and sellers who are looking to do something in this current market. And for sellers, right, very simple. If you watch enough of my videos, I always say this: don't sell unless you have a plan. Cash is trash. If you're just cashing out from this property, right, and you have the ability to hold for a while more, I would think that you should. Why? Because the data just shows us that the market is definitely not going to crash. Neither is it going to fly super high. But more importantly is that after you sell and you take the cash, what are you going to do? Are you going to split it into multiple investments? So it depends on what's your plan. Recently, I've just talking to a seller who owns a landed property that is worth $8 million, and their plan was to sell the landed property, buy a big HDB flat, an EA that is 1,600 square feet, and then use the two kids' name to buy one condominium each. If that is your plan, I would think that that is something you should look forward to. Why? Because if both of your kids are already earning an income and are eligible to buy a property but do not have enough down payment, that would be so much of a booster for them for their future asset net worth. Plus, if you don't need that landed property anymore and you're in your 60s, why not downsize and use your kid's name to leverage? The interesting part is always the leverage, because you pay 25% down to acquire a property. So technically, when the property price goes up by 25%, means to say that you already make 100% on your money. If that's the case, I think yes, you should look forward to sell right now and restructure. However, if you're just selling to take out cash, right, no need to rush. Now, coming to the buyers, I will always fall back to on my 3 golden principles. Number 1 is always start saving and start investing early. Secondly, constantly upgrade to increase your asset net worth. Last but not least, try your best to have a 20% buffer when you're buying a property, because this gives you the safety net to tide through rainy days. And using these fundamentals is very clear. If today you are able to afford the landed property, however, you're hoping for the price to drop, that is a very dangerous one, because if you look at the chart, the landed property prices usually won't depreciate by much, even during bad times. And like for example, if you look at after the cooling measure in 2013, every year you see marginal drop, and it didn't last more than 3 years before the price actually shot through the roof once again. Let's say that the price will go down, which nobody can guarantee, but one thing I can guarantee is that your loan cap will definitely drop, your affordability will definitely drop, and the timeline that you are trying to meet for schools, for your children, for your family's lifestyle will definitely be affected as well. All in all, I'm not trying to say that you just go in and buy anything and pay record price. Try to find the good value properties in region that you are looking for. Go in with a reasonable offer and then try to close at somewhere around the last transacted pricing. I think that will be the safer bet, because looking at this situation with the interest rates coming down in the next couple of quarters, right, that may signal another renewed interest for landed properties, because the quantum of landed properties are super huge. So any drop in terms of interest rate will cause buyers to be more motivated and more excited and more reassured to actually go in and buy. If today you can afford, why wait for next year? But if you need someone to give you some consult in terms of your current situation and your financial situation as well, this is my number. Send me a WhatsApp and then I'm happy to actually do a quick Zoom to discuss what you should be doing as well. I hope you learned something today. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notification bell, because we post weekly real estate videos like this. And with that said, have a great day and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.